Yo, welcome back to SunnySpeaks. It's been a minute. Life. Uh, but I just came back from seeing Joker 2, Folie à Deux. I don't know how to say the French part of that. But this movie's getting a lot of hate. A lot. And not to say that I don't understand why it is, because I can understand it. Little backstory. The first Joker was, when I saw it in theaters, was the first time I had my first panic attack ever in my life, at least that I remember. And that was very traumatic for me. It was very hard for me to even watch that movie again because of the memories I hold with it. And if I'm being honest, every single time I've watched it after, it doesn't hit the same. Probably because the traumatic elements of the movie coincided with that very traumatic moment for me. So with this movie that is directed by Todd Phillips and stars Joaquin Phoenix, Lady Gaga, and many other people, great performances throughout. This movie is very interesting to me. And I think it was something that I personally needed to see. This isn't going to be me trying to, I don't know, be a film buff or whatever and try to, I'm not even a musical guy, so I can't speak on or even criticize correctly like the musical elements and all that stuff. Like, that's just not who I am. But on a personal level and where I'm at in life right now as a 22-year-old who has made many mistakes, and those mistakes are now catching up to me, but also are just kind of, my life is at a point where I have to look at myself. I felt the impact of this movie because I think this movie is about accountability and about accepting reality rather than losing yourself in the fantasy that you want to tell yourself. I think that I had to get that out. I think that for a lot of people, it's very easy to just allow yourself to let your mind win and let the world dictate your actions. And I think for me, that's something that I've done a lot without really knowing. I think I've been rapping for years and years of my life, letting the world dictate what I'm going to do because I wanted their acceptance. And I think Arthur Fleck as a character is a big representation of that. A person who lost his agency and then when he reached his breaking point, did things that were abhorrent and did things that he went to a place where he couldn't turn back. And I think a lot of people, in whatever way of life, whatever way you connect to it, because obviously I'm talking about a psychopathic killer, but for me personally, I can look at anybody's story and relate to a certain thing, see the humanity in a monster. And I think for me, something I was telling myself when I was driving back home was that no matter what you do, no matter what you go through, no matter what path you're on, if you regret it, but you can't go back, you can always stop. I think more people need to hear that even though things may be hard and you might not even be the person that you want to be anymore at this point in your life. You look in the mirror and you don't even see yourself or your dreams or your hopes or a future. But you can always stop. You can always stop moving in the direction that hurts you. And out of everything that Arthur Fleck did in this particular movie, I think that's something that I respect. And I think that's something that people needed to see. Not everybody's gonna appreciate this movie, and for many different reasons. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say like you're sleeping on it, and it's like, why y'all hating on this? Like, that's not for me to say. But for the people who connected so much with the first movie, because as a person myself, when I was going through it, that movie was revving me up. That movie was making me feel things that I knew were wrong, and I escaped into it because I didn't know where else to go. And I appreciate Todd Phillips for creating a movie that acknowledges that accountability is important, and that no matter where you go, no matter what you're doing, you can always stop and accept reality rather than losing yourself in a fantasy. And for me, at my big age of 22 years old, that's my goal now. I feel so stuck. I feel hurt. I've been so unhappy for so long. And I want to change that. And I want to acknowledge what I've done wrong in order to do the right thing. I'll never be perfect, but I know I can stop the bad things and try to build something better. And if there's one thing that anybody can take from this film, or take from this review of the film, I hope that you know that reality is better than fantasy. And that you exist and you matter. And no matter what you're going through, and the world might just be, kicking you down, you have to accept the part you play in things as well. And I think the quicker you acknowledge that, the better the road can become. Those are my thoughts. I don't really have a rating, but I enjoyed myself. And I think for me, this was a very cathartic experience because part of me was dreading seeing this movie because of what I experienced in the first movie and just not knowing what was going to happen. But I'm proud of myself for seeing it by myself. I'm glad I enjoyed it. I hope if you see it, you enjoy it. But if you don't, leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear why. I'd love to start a dialogue. And yeah, this has been SunnySpeaks. And I'm back.